Right, very good late afternoon, good evening, early evening, late afternoon. How we do it's a little bit windy. My usual setup is broken, so I've got the old headphones in and I can't really hide the mic dangling here, so I do apologise if it's a little bit blowy. Um, I had a really interesting discussion with my eldest son. Dynamite Blower, how you doing? And it's a case of I feel as a parent that we all need to be honest with our kids. Sergeant Major Patrick Harper, I love saying that. I think as parents we need to be honest and open with our children to the best we can. Hi Sarah. Um, I've never been one to mollycoddle my kids. If they fall over, I don't go, oh my baby. I say, get yourself up, dust yourself off and carry on. Thank you very much, I really appreciate that, I do try. I'm glad you like the channel. But it's a case of, I try my best, basically, not to mollycoddle or smother my kids. It's a case of a little bit of tough love, but also it comes to as much honesty as possible is the best thing. Now, at the moment, I'm going through a bit of a hard time because I've got one grandparent left, and I'm not going to lie, she's not got long for this world. She's suffering with dementia. She's rapidly declining, and she's getting worse and worse every day. And my mum has to look after her every day, and so does my dad. And I only get to see her once every 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm slowly getting to that point now where I'm thinking I might not get another chance to see her because she's not got long left. And I said to my eldest son earlier on, I said to him, look, Jack, then I explained to him in a kind way, what was wrong with my nan, his great gran. And I said to him, look, I'm going to tell you now. I said, you're 10 years old. I'm going to give you enough respect to tell you, honestly, what is wrong with Nanny Sylv. And I explained to him that she's very ill. She's losing her memory. She's forgetting things. She's forgetting where she is. She's forgetting how to do things. And, it's not just affecting her mind, it's affecting her body. And I said, she could last another 2 or 3 years, or she could last another 2 or 3 days. And I had to explain to him what the situation was because he loves his gran, you see, and I just felt that I would feel bad if I wasn't open and honest with him about the situation, because he doesn't know there's anything wrong, or didn't know there's anything wrong. And if all of a sudden he finds out that Nanny Sylv has died, and I thought it would be kinder if I prepared him, let him know what is going on so that he's aware of the situation. I mean, I was actually so grateful the fact that my other nan, my nanny Peg, about, I think this would be 6 years now, I actually was so grateful the fact that I got to see her that last time, and I got to tell her that I loved her, and I got to help hold her hand, and I'm going to end up welling up. But, and I said to my son, I said, you need to understand the reason why whenever I say bye to you and your brother, or when I say bye to your mum, whenever I leave the house or whenever I go to work, I always say I love you. He says, is that because you love us? I said, it's not just because I love you. I said, it's not because of that. I said, I love you unconditionally. I say it because if anything was to happen to me while I'm at work, or anything was to happen with an accident and you don't get to see me again, I want you to understand that the last words I said to you were, I love you. You see? Even when me and my other half, we're not talking, and everyone has problems. We argue, we get on each other's nerves all the time, but I love her, you see? And every time I walk out the door, I always say to her, Hayley, I love you. And it's a case of next time my son, or both of them, go and stay at my mum and dad's house, because they live next door to my gran, and they go down there and see my gran, it's a case of just tell her that you love her. Even if she doesn't remember who you are, as long as you know that you've told her that you love her. Because the worst thing in the world that could happen is you never get that chance to say to them that you love them. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you never ever had that last opportunity to tell that person you love that you love them, you know, you need to be honest with your kids. You need to have that kind of transparency when it comes to family matters, especially when it comes to a loved one that isn't doing so well health-wise. Be open with them, be honest with them, tell them what the situation is, tell them not in a horrible way, but in a way that can prepare them. I mean, Jack, my eldest boy, he looked upset, he looked sad, but he kept it together because he understood that what I was telling him wasn't to upset him. It was to show him the level of respect that I think he deserves, and that when the inevitable does happen, you know, it won't be so much as a shock, you know, and he'll understand that she won't be suffering anymore, because we don't know how she's feeling really with the dementia. She's saying that she feels hungry, or she can't remember eating, or, you know, she feels that she's got a bellyache and she's not eating, and she's got a bellyache, she doesn't actually understand that she's hungry, you know, and we don't know how she's suffering, if she's suffering at all. So if and when it does happen, you know, he needs to understand what the reality of that was. Let's read some of these comments. I am a kid too. Hello, I'm a kid. I'm glad to know the truth. Yeah, you know, I think we need to be open and honest with our kids for what the truth is. Can you do a house tour in this stream as well? No, I'm not doing a house tour in my home. Granddad died of cancer. Had not seen him for years. He died 2 years before I was going to fly. I'm sorry to hear that, Patrick Harper. But it's sad. I mean, my last grandparent to pass away, Nanny Peg, Margaret Staveley, you know, she had dementia. She couldn't really remember who was who, you know, and when I sat in that room and I held her hand, she actually remembered who I was, and that brought a tear to my eye. And, you know, I got to tell her that I love her. She said that my hands felt warm, you know, and she was cold. She wasn't eating, she had a vitamin drink, and I got her to drink some of that. And when I left that room, I never had the opportunity to see her again before she went, you know, and if I never had that opportunity to tell her that I loved her, I would never have forgiven myself for not doing more to see her that one last time, you see. And I know there's nothing else I could have done. I could never have helped her, but I get comfort now knowing that she knew that I loved her, you know, and just that bit of honesty and openness, the fact that I knew what was happening, you know, it wasn't so much of a shock. So all I'm saying, it doesn't matter what the situation is. I'm using these examples, you know, to convey my message across. But when it comes down to honesty with kids, be honest with your kids. Be honest with your kids about what's happening in the UK at the moment. Tell them, you know, don't stand up to people with weapons, for example. If you see someone with a knife, you run. It doesn't matter how big you think you are, or if your friends are there, you know, kids, you need to understand, if you see someone with a knife, I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing you can do is literally turn around and run as fast as you can the other way. As fast as you can the other way. Save your own life. Because, you know, that's me being honest. Parents, be honest with your kids. Tell your kids exactly these things. You need to be honest with your kids and tell them. If you see one of your mates carrying a knife, realistically, that's not your mate. It's just someone that you know that's stupid enough to carry a weapon. You see, be honest with your kids and tell them what to do. Because long term, they will thank you for it. And this is how we teach kids how to have good life lessons. This is how we teach kids how to have respect, not for just other people, but it's a good way of us teaching kids how to have respect for themselves. You see, and it all starts with honesty. If we have the respect for our kids to be honest with them, they'll learn from that and they'll have enough respect for themselves and in turn have respect for each other. So anyway, this is my little ditty over for today. I hope everyone has an absolutely